What do you think life will look like 20 years from now? That was something I was really curious
Some
about.
ideas, some teachings.
Yes, I've done art all my life. I will always do it. But my
Section of art, social justice, and the human spirit.
That was allowing me to really express myself.
Hi, I'm Douglas Bell, and I want to welcome you to another episode of The Craft and the Calling. Today, I am joined by an author named Natalie C. Markey, creator of the Hidden Mystics Realm series, a romantasy world of reapers, jinn, sirens, fairies, and magic woven through the real and mystical settings alike. Her stories explore fantasy, romance, identity, grief, destiny, and the power of love in uncertain times. Please welcome Natalie C. Markey to The Craft and the Calling. Hey, Miss Natalie.
Hello, Douglas. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. I always say that my author life is very much woven into family, and it's a family business for us. So Saturday morning, I'm here with you. I actually moved over to do the podcast from my mother's house, so I didn't have my helpful assistant Chewbacca, a 100-pound chocolate lab, trying to take over this interview because he totally would and has before. And my husband's taking care of my teenage daughter and want to be teenage son before we start doing activities.
Okay. Now, I understand you are a Houstonian?
Absolutely. Born and raised. I actually live in Katy, Texas, which is west of Houston.
Right. And I'm looking throughout the windows. I'm here in Houston too, and we're having pretty good little weather today.
It is. It is starting to get warm, though. The other day, I was moving stuff from my car to set up for a theater banquet for my daughter, and it was getting really hot. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for Houston heat, but it is fun because one of my books takes place in Houston. So when I talk about the Houston humidity in that book, I don't have to research. It is real knowledge.
So now before we get going, and so with our earlier conversations, you have done so much. So you are an editor. You used to have a show on NPR. Kind of catch me up on all that before we get into our questions.
My background has always been in journalism, communication, and business, degreed from Baylor University, Sikkim Bears, and which also one of our mutual friends, Stacy, also went to Baylor as well. But I am an author. But before all that, I have been the editor of Katy Magazine for 25 years.
Okay.
And I love it because I get to meet so many people. I cover articles that cover a range of topics. So it's very fascinating. I feel like I get to know a little bit about everything. And that knowledge definitely weighs into my author career because I feel like I am kind of a jack of all trades. I also worked for CBS Television and CW affiliate and wrote commercials and directed commercials for them for several years in Waco, Texas.
Oh, wow.
And then when I was at my first job was a radio spot on NPR called Events Around Town. And I covered free events that were around Waco, Texas.
Oh, wow.
And I lived there. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, wow.
I'm also a former dance teacher. I taught here in Katy, but I also owned a dance studio overseas for 4 years. And my family and we lived in Saudi Arabia for almost 5 years.
Wow. You know what? That gets a whole nother show in itself.
Yes, it is. And it's funny because all those experiences, you see them through my books.
Correct. I would hope so because that's a lot of texture right there to add to stories. Yes. Okay. So with the way the Craft and the Calling works is that the show is kind of broken down into different categories, and then I've got 3 cards basically, and I'm going to ask you to choose one of the cards, and that card is going to be your question. Okay.
Okay.
So we've got a card 1, 2, or 3. Which would you choose? And our category is opening and origin story.
All right. So I pick a number?
You pick a number.
All right. Well, since I am currently writing book 3 in the Hidden Mystic Realm series, I'm going to go with number 3.
Gonna go with number 3. So what drew you specifically toward fantasy and romantasy as a genre? Or matter of fact, you may have even explained the difference between the two. But yes, what drew you to that genre?
Well, I started out actually wanting to write YA. I was just like so many people when Twilight hit. It's like, oh, this is a fantastic series, lots of depth and stuff to it. I want to write. I already was a professional writer. I decided I wanted to write a book. So I wanted to write a YA book, and I started writing a YA novel. And during that time is when I joined the West Houston RWA, which is now the League of Romance Writers.
Okay.
And that was 16 years ago. And so that's how long it took me to write Reaper Court.
Wow.
So I had it in my head, I'm not going to write romance, I'm going to write YA. But I wanted to join RWA because it was at the time, one of the most successful writing organizations. And I needed to learn, when I got the book done, what do I do next? That's like the famous $1 million question that every writer has. You don't know what comes next. So I joined the group, but as I started going through the editing process and everything, and long story short, I decided this is not a YA book. And then also life happened. During that time, I had children, and I decided, when you write fantasy, and I wanted to write fantasy because I don't want to write about real life. I want to write what I read.
Okay.
And when I read, my life is so crazy. I wanted to escape. I don't want to read to learn about politics or, be motivated in that way. I just want to read to have fun, pure entertainment, stuff that cannot happen in real life. So that's why I always loved fantasy and paranormal. But then I started understanding that as a parent, I didn't really want to write YA because I don't want my characters to be seen as sneaking around the parents or the other adults. I wanted my characters to be very upfront as to what's happening, to promote good family values, because I don't want my kids to read a book and see, oh, you can sneak around and not tell your parents that you're dating a Reaper. So it's like, I don't like this. So I aged up my cast, and that was the hardest writing challenge I ever took on, taking Reaper Court from a YA Reaper Court to Reaper Court to an adult fantasy Reaper Court, because what decisions you make as a 25-year-old, you hope are different than decisions you would make as a 16-year-old.
Okay, so in that example, the 25-year-old does not have to tell their parents.
Or sneaking around makes it a lot easier because they're not living with them.
Okay.
So they're not, but in my book, the aunt who's the guardian does find out. So yes.
Okay.
I won't tell you how. You have to read the book.
Okay. So now before we get to the next piece, so the Hidden Mystics Realm series. How many books are in that series?
It is a planned 6-book series. I'm already contracted with my fabulous cover designer, Briar River Designs. So it's a 6-book series. My editor has already seen the outline of all of it. It's all outlined. So I know now where all these characters are going. But there's going to be 6 books. The first 2 books are out. We have Reaper Court and Arabian Nights. I'm currently writing Soul Power, which is book 3.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so when did the first 2 books come out? How long have they been out?
Reaper Court came out in October because Halloween is my favorite holiday.
Okay.
And in fact, there's a big scene in the book where they're at a Halloween party. So I tied it into a Halloween. So it came out the week of Halloween in 2025. And then Arabian Nights, to celebrate love, because you can't be a romance writer and not capitalize on Valentine's Day. It came out in February of 2026. Soul Power is due out in the fall. The official date is pending.
Okay.
But the fall, not next fall.
Well, as long as it took you to write the first one, you kind of got good steam going now.
Yes, well, I will say it was the hardest thing to write book 1, and to say that it took 16 years is, I guess, an exaggeration, because I was not writing that entire time.
Yes.
In fact, my books deal with the main character, heroine Christine, deals a lot with grief and how she copes with that, and I've kind of put my own story into that. Now, her parents were murdered. I am blessed to not have that situation happen with my parents. I'm currently at my mom's house. She is alive and well. Right. But I was writing this book when I had a stillborn daughter, And that's something I like to always let people know about because we honor Aliena and everything my family does. And I had to take a big break from writing because writing journalism is completely different than writing fiction.
Correct.
It taps into that creative side of your brain. And I could not be creative for a while. But it took me time to write down my ideas, get the outline for the Hidden Mystic Realm series going. And also, my other children grew up. I have a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old. And yes, it would have been easier to go to book signings and book fairs when they were a lot younger.
Right.
But now I love it because they're a part of this journey with me.
Right.
My kids get very involved in it, and I love their involvement.
Well, I will have to say, as much as we started this conversation that you say you like writing about fantasy and not real life, you seem to have a lot of real life in some of these stories.
Yes, well, I mean, even with fantasy, there's gonna be real life into everything. I mean, even take famous fantasy series like Lord of the Rings, there's still characters that go through real emotions of love and death. I mean, you can have a fantasy novel, but you can't have fantasy without having real emotion woven in.
Okay, so our next category is creativity in the writing process. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards to choose from. Which card? Well, let me say this: 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9.
5, 6, 7, 8, or 9.
Uh-huh.
I will go. My favorite number is 6, and I have 6 books in my series, so I'll go with 6.
Okay. What part of yourself shows up most in your characters?
Oh, that is a good question.
That is a good question. That is really a good question.
I would probably say determination, because I just the ability to not give up. I mean, my characters get some pretty tough situations thrown at them. I feel that I've had some tough situations thrown at me, but I don't give up, and neither do they. And I think that that's an important, even though my books are fantasy, they're really not reapers and jinn and fairies and sirens running around Houston, Texas, and the other cities in my books. And then my book also has a hidden realm that's completely high fantasy. But those characters don't give up. And we hope that they don't, because it'll be the end of the human world if they do.
Right, exactly. Okay, I like that. That's interesting. Okay. The next category is fantasy, identity, and human nature. And your card numbering is 10, 11, 12, or 13.
I'll go with 13.
For some reason, I knew you were going to pick 13. That's what hit my brain. You were going to pick 13. Okay, let's see here. When readers connect deeply with your work, what do you think they're truly responding to underneath the magic and the romance?
Well, when I decided to be a fiction writer, I love reading. I love reading. I've always loved reading. My grandparents instilled a very strong love for reading. And in fact, that's how I have my pen name. My pen name's to honor them. They are no longer with us, so they unfortunately did not get to see me become an author. But I want to honor them in this career I've chosen. And I think that when people read my books, I want them to be inspired, even though, because that's what we all really want. I think when we're reading, we want to escape, we want to have fun, and who doesn't want to be inspired? And I feel like I hope that people get that when they read my books, because I certainly get it when I'm writing them. I feel that when I'm writing them, because my characters, they go through a lot. There's a lot of high stakes involved, but they endure and they have determination, and they use all these emotions that we have in real life, dealing with grief, falling in love, having best friends and being there for each other. All of those things that we experience in real life, we can find in books. And I hope that they feel that when they're reading my series. So I hope that answered the question.
So when we say romance fantasy, so what takes center? So romance takes center versus and we just have fantasy type characters? Is that
This
how
is
it works?
this is an interesting conversation. I had a big conversation with last weekend with author Abigail Owen, who is a New York Times bestselling romantasy author. We actually shared an editor, so that's how I've gotten
Oh,
to know
wow.
her. And with my books, I'm sorry, I'm over here looking at the covers. With my books, they're romantasy, but I think anytime you have romantasy now, I think so many people blend it with so many things, but the market, everyone calls it all romantasy. Now, personally, with my book series, you've got a little bit of stuff blended in it because you've got that, what people used to call urban fantasy or contemporary fantasy, because it does, Reaper Court takes place in West Houston, Texas. So you're going to see, if you live in Houston, you're going to see parts of the city that do exist. Memorial Oak Cemetery is not named in my book, but that is a major setting in my book. And both of my grandparents, my father, are all at Memorial Oak Cemetery. So I've walked around there thinking of my book when I've been out there visiting them. But then Arabian Nights, my book 2, takes place in Los Angeles. The heroine is an actress and a competitive martial artist. It takes place in Los Angeles, where I have been as well. But then it also takes place in the Middle East, along a beach along the Persian Gulf, which I have walked around when I lived over there. And then it also takes place into a fantasy realm, the realm of the jinn, the genies and the fairies. So a different magical realm. So obviously that part doesn't exist. So with fantasy, you got a little bit of everything.
Okay.
And as far as the romance key, I think it's hard to have any book series to span a story across 6 books. I think it would be impossible to do that and not have some sense of romance going on, because these characters are growing, they're making friendships, they're falling in love,
Right.
on top of raging a war to save humanity and all of that. So, and there's so much real life going on amongst the fantasy.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I was at I just add that I was at the Tucson Book Festival, and the ladies in the booth next to me, they were talking about they were urban fantasy. And so all of these, which is what I love, these different genres. But yes, just to kind of figure out how do they really work.
Yeah, urban fantasy is when you have it like you got fantasy creatures, fantasy elements, like magical systems and stuff embedded into a real setting. So Reaper Court would be very much like that because we've got that. But then in Arabian Nights, in Reaper Court, the characters find out about the hidden mystic realm, that there is this mystic realm out there, but they actually go to it in book 2.
Right. So now before I get to the next category, I have a question. What's your writing process?
Chaos.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a mom of 2 very busy, incredible children. I also am an editor for a magazine. I also I'm a travel agent on the side too. So I do a lot of I have a lot of different irons in the fire at all times. I'm also the president of my daughter's theater booster club,
Okay.
and it's just so I have a laptop. Thank goodness for laptops, because I always joke I have an office, but I rarely use it. I will write my books often at a baseball field, at a taekwondo lobby, at a theater auditorium, at a dance gym. I'm all over the place. I'm a car line. I have taken my computer into the car writer line many times. In fact, some of my best work is done there because the internet is so bad. I can't get on the internet. So it takes all distractions are gone.
Well, I have a question because I've seen these car lines at the schools.
Oh my goodness.
Are you sitting in those lines for an hour to get to your child?
Well, so if I don't get in the carpool line an hour to an hour and a half before school dismisses for my son, then it's like a domino effect. It will put me late to his first activity of the night. It will put me late to meeting up with my daughter in high school. It spirals the night out of control. So to make my evening go smooth, I do get in the car rider line really early. But like I said, I bring my laptop. Last week I had my Kindle with me because I was rereading, because yes, authors do read their own books. I was rereading my books since I'm working on book 3 just to make sure I'm keeping everything in continuity.
Right. Okay, here's our next category: love, fear, and vulnerability. And our card numbering is 14, 15, 16, and 17.
Um, I will go with 16. My daughter's about to turn 16. We got 16
Okay.
on the brain.
You're gonna like this question. What does vulnerability look like for you as a writer?
I think being an author is the definition of vulnerability.
Ah,
Because putting your book out there,
yes.
I mean, yes, my books are fantasy. Yes, it's not really happening. Where humans are not at risk of being slaves in a mystic realm overseen by a corrupt jinn. But I mean, being able to put that story out there, there's still so much of me in my books. Christine, my heroine in book one, is a dancer. I was a dancer. So when she's in the Nutcracker, that experience, in fact, my editor is like, I will edit this, but I don't understand this process of how a rehearsal is run. I'm like, it's okay. I got that. I understand that. So there's so much of my life in that book. In book two, Anna is a competitive martial artist and an actress. My daughter may not be a famous Hollywood actress right now, but she's a competitive martial artist. So when those fight scenes are happening with that bow staff, I would tell my daughter, if someone's coming at you from this angle, let's play this out. Let's role play. Tell me, how are you going to get yourself out of this situation? So every fight scene was acted out in real life in my living room. So
Right.
there's so much of us, of my family, into these books. So of course it's vulnerable because I've put it out there, and you can't make everyone happy. If someone doesn't love something about the book, I mean, just luckily I haven't had it happen yet, but I'm sure I will at some point have a negative review. And that's scary. So for authors, it's very vulnerable. It puts
Oh,
us in a very vulnerable spot.
you saying you haven't had a negative review?
Well, don't jinx it. No, I haven't. Right
Well,
now, both books are at 5-star reviews on Amazon. Yes.
good for you there. Okay, good for you. Let's see. Our next category is reflection and personal growth. And your questions are 18, your numbering is 18, 19, and 20.
I will do 20.
Okay. What does success mean to you now compared to when you first started writing?
Um, I like how you say compared to when I first started writing, because success is going to that question is going to constantly, the answer is going to be constantly evolving, I think. Because for me starting out, I can't remember what the stats are, but there's like a very low percentage of people, when they say they're going to be a writer, most people don't, when they say they're going to be an author, there's a stat, I need to look it up. Most people don't actually get to
Correct.
that,
Correct.
typing the words the end.
Correct.
And then of those that do reach that the end of their book, of that, very, very few, the numbers are not in our favor of getting published.
Correct.
And then to be able to say you're going to do a series, from then some people don't even get to that next book.
Right.
And so on. So I guess right now, success for me starting out, it was to get the book done. Because I think for me, and I'm sure a lot of authors can relate to this, it never felt done to me. It's like I can always do another draft. I could always do another draft. It could always be better. Even now I'll read it and I'm like, oh, that could have been better. Because I mean, I'm a perfectionist with this. So I guess success for me starting out was just turning it into my editor and getting it out of my hands. I normally try to set big goals. I know with these two books, I timed it around, my children are competitive martial artists, and every summer we go to a massive Taekwondo tournament. And I know that week of that Taekwondo tournament, I'm not going to think about a single author task. I am full on mom mode, and I'm there supporting them and helping them through the biggest week of our summer, of our year, really. So I always try to get the books out of my hands and in my editor's hands at that point. So I've got like that big goal and stuff. And that's what I'm trying to do with book 3, but it's a little behind.
Yeah.
So we will see. But just getting it done is the big thing. Success is getting it done. And for success now, I love hearing people who I do not know, because I mean, you expect your family and friends to support you and read your book. But for me, I felt successful when someone who I did not know who they were, they don't know me personally, reached out and they read the book and they were telling me things about it and asking questions. To me, that was probably one of my most successful moments.
Okay.
It's like I have a
Well,
fan who doesn't have to be a fan.
right. No, and you are right. It does change. So in the few minutes we have left here, in the category of closing questions,
Okay.
your numbering is 21, 22, 23, and 24. Which one would you choose?
Um, I will do 22, please.
22. Okay. What are you most excited for readers to experience next in the Hidden Mystics Realm series?
This one's an easy one for me to answer because it's what's the most exciting for me with writing the series. So each book kind of centers around, there's a couple casts going on. Reaper Court has a cast of characters, Arabian Nights has a cast of characters. And as the series goes on, these cast of characters commingle and help each other on their common goals more and more. And some of these people have rather big personalities.
Mhm.
And these characters have very much become a part of our family. And my kids, my son was planning one of their weddings. And I was afraid that people at school were going to think he really was planning some real person's wedding. But just seeing these people, these characters come together, I hope that they will love it as much as I'm having fun with writing it.
Mhm.
I haven't put something on on Instagram, like a fun little meme where characters were arguing back and forth, and it's just funny when you have big personalities, and
Right.
they're both two of the guys are both wonderful guys, but they handle things in life polar opposite, and the
Mhm.
two of them are going to be forced to work together, and it's going to be hysterical. So I
Uh,
hope people are going to be excited just as much as I am writing it. I'm having a
right.
blast.
So before we go, so what are your thoughts about uh, being a writer in the marketing and social media? Where do you, yeah, I just would love to hear just a quick thought on where you
Well, I always say I'm jealous of William Shakespeare because he did not have to think. He just had the right. He didn't have to think about what his Instagram post was going to be each
Yeah,
day. So yeah. So I mean, back then they had a lot easier, I guess, in some ways.
I
Um,
guess.
I wish social media didn't have as much of an emphasis on the
Yeah,
writing industry as it does,
yeah.
especially with AI. However, as a reader, I love seeing behind the scenes stuff from my favorite authors. And that's why I try to use social media as like a behind the scenes look for people who are fans of Hidden Mystic Realms so they can see what I'm dealing with on the behind the scenes. I also like to have people see that I'm a real person.
Right.
I may put together these fantasy stories with huge, epic settings and war and backdrops and just huge stuff going on. But I'm still a real person and I'm a mom and anyone can write a book. I've decided because I like showing that I'm writing my book as I'm doing all these things in my life.
Hmm.
My books go along with me. And my family is very much involved in this process, and I'm
Right.
very appreciative of that. I always say I could not be the author I'm becoming, and the author I am without the support of my family,
Yeah.
especially my children.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So, Natalie, this has been such a great conversation. Where can people find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram and Instagram and Threads as Natalie C. Markey. Please come follow, and you can always say welcome to the journey because what I'm living really is a journey. So welcome to the journey and follow along. I'm also Natalie C. Markey on Facebook and Twitter. I'm not as active on Twitter with my author stuff, but yes, and I always tell people because the number one question, and I do have hands down a number one question fans write in, I will not kill Sticks. He is fine. So everyone can calm down. Sticks is the dog, the lovable hellhound, and Reaper Court, who is in throughout the entire series, and he will be fine. I don't
Right.
believe in animal death.
Right. Right. Well, I want to tell you thank you. This has been a great conversation. I have learned so much. I've learned a new genre, which is romanticy.
Romanticy.
Romanticy. So I've learned a new genre, and I really appreciate this conversation. Um, I want you to have a good rest of the weekend.
You do the same.
Yes, and so thank you all for watching this episode of Craft and the Calling. I am Douglas Bell. Please share, subscribe, follow. I can also be found at Douglas Bell Author on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can also go to my website, douglasbellbooks.com. So, Natalie, take care of yourself and take care of everyone. Okay, bye-bye. If this conversation spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Drop a comment below and let us know your favorite part of the interview, or share what poetry means to you. Hey, and if it inspired you, hit the like button and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Let's keep the power of words alive by spreading these stories far and wide. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you'll never miss a beat.